Hi, I'm Veronika Linardi. I'm the CEO of Togs Capital. We're a single-family office. So for the last 1.5 decades or so, my endeavors as a serial entrepreneur in the social enterprise space, as a co-founder and investor, have been dedicated to fostering positive impact in the societal and environmental space, particularly in high-growth emerging markets with substantial young populations. So in alignment with Sustainable Development Goals, and also bridging upon my expertise in employment, in clean mobility, in upskilling talent, and also urbanization, we focus on several key issues to drive meaningful change, particularly in climate action, in innovation and growth, innovation and industry, in quality education, as well as in decent work and economic growth. So what I did was I invested in a tech-enabled ecosystem after founding my companies. And so these industries that we invested in includes education, employment, commerce infrastructure, logistics, supply chain management, clean tech, EVs, and manufacturing. And what we seek is to leverage upon the interconnectedness of all these very cross-sectoral pillars and create synergies as well as amplify the collective impact. And the good thing is that this ecosystem is profitable, and we really create a lot of transformation. So I think especially the public market would say that emerging markets is high risk. But whenever there's high risk, there's also probably high returns. And since I come from Indonesia and I've lived in Asia all my life, well, not quite. I went to school in other countries too. But I really feel that more capital should be deployed where it's really needed, which is developing markets. And there's so much potential in Asia, in emerging markets, not only in Asia, but since I live in Asia, it feels very close to heart. So how do I view the risk versus a return? I feel that since I'm from this area, I know this place better. And for me to actually come from a background of actually employment, services, human capital development, deep diving, interviewing people, I find that I'm able to connect the dots and help a lot of companies that I come across whose impact-driven aligns with my philosophies and values. So what I do is I actually deep dive and interview the founders. I ask them the big questions. What problems are you trying to solve? What is your solution? What is your core competitive advantage against the competitors? And I would go down to the leadership team and also the entire team and ask, how does the founder behave when he's having a bad day? I want to see the composition of the gender composition within the leadership team. I want to know what is the underlying technology that is able to solve the problem. So for me to actually take a deep dive and get to know the founders, I find that I mitigate the risk because I can help him connect the dots. I can help him acquire talent. I can help him give suggestions to market entry strategies, connect him with subject matter experts, also challenge the status quo when needed, help him maybe perhaps give input to making strategic decisions, and also potentially invite other NGOs or impact investors to provide catalytic capital to those developing companies. Because I feel that it's usually the startups that need the money most. And sometimes the money doesn't come fast enough because they haven't maybe proven their technology so that it reaches a certain level of economies of scale, or that it's not scalable enough to attract the bigger investors. So that's where I feel as an impact investor, catalytic capital is very important to drive meaningful change. And yes, it's high risk, but I mitigate it with having good communication with the leadership team and, of course, doing my research. There's so many emerging technologies and with so much things to do, so many deals to look at, how do you actually look at the right one? So that is actually the challenge for me. I mean, when it comes to driving impact in businesses, I think the question is, there's so many business proposals out there. right? And there's no guarantee for any of them, right? So if you can just marry the two, impact and also profit, why not, right? It's like killing two birds with one stone. And so when it comes to choosing the right projects, a lot of the impact projects, it's hard to quantify the actual metrics. It's not just the quantitative metrics that we're talking about, but it's the qualitative metrics that actually tell the holistic story, the whole narrative about how maybe just one success story can fuel the passion of an entire village for them to actually dare to hope, of a better future for the whole entire generation. So just by transforming one life, it can be a very, very interesting impact for me because it can mean much more. So just transforming one life can be an equivalent to transforming many, many villages, inspiration and their attitude. Yes, exactly. Yeah, there's usually a ripple effect from just one success story. So from the tech-enabled ecosystem that we invested in, we created around 50,000 jobs. And from the employment and upskilling platforms, we have empowered tens of millions of talent to improve their skills so that they can get better work opportunities. And we know that work opportunities having more than one choice in their jobs provides a lot of options that increase really their familial ties and also work-life balance that leads to sustainable livelihoods. So we believe in giving people more than one option because in that way they can also choose what is the best option for them, right? So I'm not trying to be biased here, but one of the success stories is also in this two-wheeler EV company that I invested in. It's called Volta, V for Veronica, V for Volta, so vote for Volta. So Volta Indonesia, it was started in Indonesia. It has been established for less than 2 years, and yet they are one of the market leaders in Indonesia for two-wheelers. So within less than 2 years of establishment, they have around 20,000 two-wheelers running around, traveling 250,000 kilometers, and already slashing more than 25,000 tons of carbon emission. They also entered into an interoperability agreement with the state grid to make sure that there's no redundancy in the battery swapping infrastructure. They also launched, because in Indonesia, a developing country, there's power outage, right? So they're connected to the state grid and they are able to actually use solar power to give them use for the battery that they charge. And they put into a model, no wasted electricity being exchanged, no lost electricity, and also to make sure that there's no sudden crazy power outages, in neighboring villages. So Volta also has the highest density of battery swapping and charging infrastructure in Indonesia. And they have launched a completely off-grid battery charging infrastructure station that is powered by solar and use batteries, thereby creating a circular economy for secondhand batteries. So that's wonderful. That's like new businesses that drive impact and reduce wastage. So I'm very proud of them. They're also positive. They are EBITDA positive. They're generating more than X amount of money, and they're profitable. They're raising seed series, but they're very particular in choosing the right partners for expansion to Southeast Asia, the home of like 250 million internal combustion engine motor vehicles. That's why it's also my personal mission to help them, not only in terms of catalytic capital, but also spread the word. Because as you know, Singapore has very clean air, but not so much so for Jakarta, right? Where the pollution index is super high. And from what we learned from COVID, we know that the air that we breathe in is so interconnected. We share the air that we breathe in, basically, right? So, of course, keeping carbon emission to a minimum in neighboring countries would also help to support Singapore as a clean and green city. That's why, this expansion, this seed money that they're going to raise is used for additional capacity for manufacturing in Indonesia, as well as expansion to Vietnam, Malaysia, and Thailand. And notable investors that have already signed on the deal includes Petronas, their venture arm TTV, and Rigel Capitals. So I'm very excited to meet more potential investors and strategic partners to help them. So we also partnered with like more than 1 million mom and pop shops or the small medium enterprises in Indonesia, from our commerce infrastructure, as well as our logistic arm and also our EV companies. So it creates a very circular economy because we not only deliver the products that are sold in these small medium enterprises, but we also educate the mom and pop shops on how to sell digital vouchers. Why is it important? Because we want more people to be integrated into this new world economy. We help them to be able to make digital payments. We help to provide them with data to convince them that this is actually good for them and they would get more money to help to increase their material prosperity. So we educate them on how to sell digital vouchers for bus, train tickets, top-up vouchers, and all that. And we also give them commission for every battery that is being charged from the Volta. And the Volta batteries are agnostic across all brands. And we also give them rental income for putting the battery swapping station that is the size of an ATM machine into their shops. So this added material prosperity is great for them. And we also tell them to softly educate them to allocate a fraction of their income to the education of their children. Because as mentioned, it's not just educating any talent that we come across, but we also pay special focus to the young and underserved, as well as the elderly, because we want to make sure that more people get included in this digital economy and that nobody gets left behind, especially in rural areas where it's harder to access good information, good education. We want to bridge this digital divide. Because all these businesses that we invested, it has a sustainable team, even in manufacturing or even in clean tech. So it's some of them are sustainable, some of them are in quality education, some of them are in climate action or in innovation, like how we want to incorporate more smart technology into the EV. And some are just in innovation of the industry, because we want to help more companies expand and disrupt technologies. And we know that it's not easy. There's always ups and downs in a business cycle. But that's where I believe impact investors come in, because we have longer time horizon. And if the purpose is really aligned to the values that we have, we're usually more patient in waiting to see the investment come back. And we are more hands-on. We really like to help them connect the dots. And we also believe in just driving meaningful change. And again, if it's not just, I believe that if we can kill two birds with one stone, why not? And there are many business proposals out there. There are many business proposals out there. And sometimes we can also convince them to convert it to be more sustainability, to be more sustainable and greener in approach. So it goes back to the values that I uphold. Since young, my parents have been driving these values to me. It's very simple and basic. It's just love, peace, trust, and respect for each other. But they're very much needed in the world today and in how we behave. The world now is facing rising geopolitical tensions and also having wars. So I believe that it is very meaningful for us to really be driven in that approach of thinking for our investment choices and also how we live, so that the world is more loving and supportive of each other and greener and more resilient. It's still very lean. So basically it's the proceeds are from the sale of shares of my companies, some of the shares, and also from my parents and also from my husband. So the mandate is to follow through with that broad vision. So basically there's no theme to it. The decision has to be made concurrently in conjunction with my husband. It's very lean and it's been taken over by my husband's team. So I outsource as much as I can with his team. Exactly. So we try to outsource as much as possible, but keep it within somewhere that we can trust. Honestly, I feel I'm just lucky. Like, why did I get chosen to be speaking in such panels, in such conferences? How did Young Global Leader even recognize me? There's so many people doing great things out there. So I think it's a fate of luck. And I do believe that with the right positive intention, luck will follow you. So my advice is just to keep on doing what you really believe in. And your core values must shine through. I believe that doing the right things will allow me to sleep better and be a role model for my daughter. So I just continue to do what I can and try to be a better person so that the world will be more loving and more peaceful. To be honest, I mean, there's so many great people doing great things, and some are recognized more and some less. So there's no saying that one is better than another. It's just a matter of luck and timing. Like, you happen to be there, and maybe you're chosen because of that. Or maybe because I set out to do what I wanted to be, a more transparent environment for the Indonesians to actually be able to better understand the job. I set out to make a more transparent work environment in Indonesia. And it didn't generate any money because it was really not for making money, Kerja.com. But it generated a lot of fanfare. It generated a lot of awareness because people become more aware of the choices that they have to make in life. It's not just money that they're looking for. Money, as we know, every salary increase, it creates incremental satisfaction, but it's not long-lived. But if you live a purposeful, driven life, if you actually can transform people's lives, then your life will stay meaningful for a much longer and extended period of time. So I think being being the co-founder of creating the glass door of Indonesia, by creating more awareness and increasing the transparency around job choices and creating more choices made available to more people in Indonesia, that also caught a little bit of attention. And of course, the second biggest job portal in Indonesia and also headhunting business. I get in touch with a lot of people, and I believe from every person that I talk to, I would rub off some optimism and also some perspective of how I live my life. And I believe that that attitude will slowly create a ripple of effect that transform more people's life. Because again, the values that I grew up with, I really believe that they are fundamental to living a more meaningful life.